Hello everyone, Tales of Tanorio recently held their first ever winter event inside of the game. It was this month-and-a-half long event called the Winterfest, and it was pretty good. But even though just by looking at how much stuff was added with this event, it might seem like it was even better than the Halloween events, not nearly as many people played this event as they did with the Haunted Realm event. So today I'll be going over everything that was added with this event, all of my complaints, all of my praises, giving a review of it, and providing constructive criticism where I can. I'll also just try to go more in depth than I did with my Halloween event video because I did not talk nearly as much as I would have liked in that video about the specifics of my thoughts on the event. And at the end of the video I will go over my thoughts and give my final verdict. Was this a good event or not? As well as trying to determine what went wrong. Why did the event do so badly compared to Halloween? And also, this is for criticism purposes. Any exaggerated anger that I might show inside the video is a joke. I'm not actually angry at this event. I think it was actually pretty good, but I'll go into more of my thoughts later. Let's start off with the content in this update. Well, first of all, like with the Haunted Realm, we have the Wild Encounters, which is where you'll be doing the majority of your hunting. Unlike the Haunted Realm, however, this event actually had almost entirely new encounter tables. Aside from Snowkit and El Jello, every single Tanorian inside the Wild Encounters for this event is brand new. I will go over all of the new Tanorians and Reskins added with this event in a different section, but for now, let's move on to Ruptures. This is something that was added about a week into the event, and it is something new. Like, the Halloween event did not have this, so this is completely unique. Some of the event Tanorians could spawn inside of the Ruptures and you could fight them for event rewards, but there were also 2 reskins that they added into the Ruptures that were distributed at different times, so the Ruptures always had something going on, so it was worth checking out. Next up, we have gift tot hunting. Similar to how we could hunt jacknids inside the Halloween event, gift tots were sprinkled all throughout the map, and by running into them you could trigger an encounter with them. Gift tot had this cool unique where it could be literally any color ever, so if you wanted a specific hex code of gift tot, well, you had a 1 in 16 million chance to get it, so good luck. I'll talk about my thoughts on gift tot later, but for now, let's move on. We also have the Arctic Expedition cave thingy, the ice mines, which I will go over this in its own section shortly. And then finally, for the replayability stuff that you could do inside the event, we have the daily gift. This is also something that was not in the Halloween event that they added with the Christmas event, and I like this system, but some of the rewards are like too good, and I feel like there's not enough bad rewards to like offset it. Like a free Tanorian plus is kind of crazy, but they have the same like odds of being rolled onto as just 1,000 candy canes, just a normal incense, just a winter egg, just a winter fossil, which are 2 things that you can find really common inside the ice mines, which again we'll get into in a second. In my opinion, there should have been a couple more bad rewards, and instead of the better rewards like a Tanorian plus should have been less common, because I personally got, I want to say like 10 Tanorian pluses from the daily gift, which I feel like is too many considering, you know, how good they are. I don't know, that's just me. Anyways, my opinions on all of these. I like the hunting area. I think the new tables are quite nice. I like how they actually have like almost entirely new Tanorians inside of this event. Like, aside from Snowkit and El Jello, everything is new. And then El Jello is technically a Winterfest Tanorian now, because before it was in the snow, but then they replaced it in the snow with Lil Paka. Either way, I like this because in the Halloween events, there were a bunch of like Tanorians that were already inside the main game, so you got a bunch of repeat shinies, which, you know, you're gonna get repeat shinies here too, but like I just like this loophole more. I give this area like an 8 out of 10, I guess. It's better than the Haunted Realms hunting area. I love that the Ruptures are back, and like we also got a unique background inside of the Ruptures themselves. I love that. Being able to fight like a bunch of different Tanorians inside the Rupture system is so fun. So I'm giving the Ruptures a 9 out of 10. Great addition. The gift tots kind of got annoying after a while because you'd be AFK in the game, and then you hear the shiny or the alpha sound, and you look around, and it's just, you know, a gift tot. You can't even find it because like the outlines are so hard to see because there's gift tots literally everywhere across the map. So you try to look around to see where the outline is and you can't find it, and it's like some like random like disgusting lime green gift tot that decided to be alpha in here. I don't want to see that, and I especially didn't like how the gift tots, when you encountered them, you could not see what the hex code of the gift tot was from the battle menu. I feel like that was a huge missed opportunity, and even with like Salominius, I feel like they need to make it an option so you can see what the the hex code of the Tanorian is from the battle menu, just in case if you're going for a specific hex code. But it's not a deal ruiner. I still found the gift tot hunting fun, and I was able to get a bunch of purple gift tots. So I'm gonna say I'm a fan, honestly. It's a very unique style of hunting. It's similar to the Jacknids, but it's different, and like the different colors make it incredibly unique. I honestly like it a lot. I'm gonna give it like a 7 out of 10. And finally, we have the daily wheel. Now, I really like this addition as well. I know I complained about like some of the options not being like the same value as other options earlier, but I honestly think that's actually a good thing. They just need to either add more bad possible rolls or decrease the odds of the good rolls being selected. I mean, that's a very easy fix to the daily gift, and it'll be pretty much perfect. So yeah, I'm gonna give daily gift as it is right now a 7 out of 10 as well. But with those changes, it'd be like an 8 out of 10. You know, it's a daily gift. It doesn't get much simpler than this. Next up, let's talk about the ice mines, the Arctic Expedition, or whatever I decide to call it. It's called the Arctic Expedition, but the area itself is called ice mines. Whatever. It's this area over here that's kind of disconnected from the rest of the map. It's not too hard to find. It's just over here past this little fossil thing, which we'll also talk about. When you enter the ice mines, this is what it looks like. It's this cool little passage that leads to a maze. This is the main mini game of the Winterfest event, like how the Haunted Mansion was the main mini game for the Haunted Realm update. And when I say maze, I mean a maze. Every single time you enter the ice mines, this will be completely different, and it goes on for pretty much forever. And you could just keep on going, and if I just clip through here really quickly, you can see it goes on for a while. It's not infinite, but it goes on for quite a while. The whole purpose of the ice mines is to find these little spots hidden throughout the entire maze. If you look up in the top right corner, you'll see you have a little health bar thingy, and every single time you click on an ice mine, you'll be put into this mini game. You have a pickaxe that does some small damage to the rocks around it, and it takes away only a little bit of durability per click from the wall itself. And then you have a bomb that does more damage, but takes away more durability from the wall itself, but not too much. And you can see behind the wall, you'll be able to find things like large EXP cubes. Once you've collected all the items, it will you will exit the mini game. Why am I in the beginning? There is also a Fordrake, specifically a reskin Fordrake, that roams throughout the entire maze, and whenever it finds you, it will teleport you back to the beginning. And I'm pretty sure, unless if that was just a bug, I'm pretty sure the Fordrake got me, but I can't find the Fordrake right now. I'm trying to find it actually, but I can't. Anyways, the whole point of the minigame— ooh, I found it. Well, this is not the Fordrake, but this is a Molrup. The whole story quest, which we'll get into that in a second, is to find this Molrup, and there will be a Fordrake that is roaming throughout the entire ice mines, so you have to be careful whenever you go mining to make sure that the Fordrake doesn't, you know, get you. Inside of the ice mines, you can also find things like fossils and eggs, and you can put the fossils inside of this machine that's outside of the ice mines that I showed you a second ago. I like the fossil restoration process. I think it's, you know, simple enough. I also like that the fossils aren't super rare, but I do honestly kind of hope that these fossils are put into the main game, because right now finding fossils just in the wild does not kind of make sense, specifically with the Alpha Grove. That don't make no sense, so I really do hope that they eventually do add this system into the main game. It's probably coming, but I don't know when. I give the fossil system a 7 out of 10 again. It's simple and it's quick. I have no complaints. And then the egg system doesn't really make sense that the eggs are inside of the ice mines, but I like the eggs overall. They're super easy to hatch, and I like that you can get mutated shinies from them, which are alternate shiny colors. You can't shiny hunt for regular shinies with the eggs, but with the same odds, you can get mutated shinies, which are a different coloring. So mutateds aren't rarer than regular shinies, you just have to get them a different way. And I think that's super neat. That's a super unique way to do a second shiny form. It's completely different than how Lumion Legacy does it, and I love it. I give the egg system an 8 out of 10. It's very good. And now my opinion on the Ice Mines minigame as a whole, I quite like it. It's simple, but it's fun. And I have spent a good bit of time inside of the mines just trying to find some cool stuff. Obviously, there's not anything super rare, but like just trying to find EXP candies and fossils. It's quite fun. The Ice Mines minigame, it's not nearly as involved as the Haunted Mansion, which I don't think is necessarily a good thing, since since, you know, the Fort Drake is there, I feel like it was made to be a mini game that you have to be involved in, but it doesn't feel like that. The maze is just too big, and there's no way to track the Fort Drake, there's no way to know where the Fort Drake is, and there is no punishment for being found by the Fort Drake. It's just kind of like an extra map that you can go into, mine in, and then just quickly leave, and then the Fort Drake feels like an afterthought. Like, I feel like some people might not have even found the Fort Drake in the maze, you know? So yeah, I definitely think the ice mines need to be shrinked. I think it needs to be more minigame-esque. And I'll talk about the visuals for the ice mines in a little bit, but I do think those also need to be rehauled. And yeah, because of that, I'm going to give the ice mines a 5 out of 10, unfortunately. It has a lot of potential, but it kind of misses the mark at the very end. And now let's move on to the story. When you enter into the ice mines, there will be a person that asks you for help finding their mole roop. Essentially, the whole thing with the Winterfest area is that it's supposed to be the town from the Haunted Realm, just frozen over. And I think the concept is super cool, but the execution itself is kind of lacking because it's all just told to you through text. Anyways, once you find the mole roop that's hidden literally anywhere in the maze, it might take you a while to find this mole roop. It's not the easiest to find. You can leave the ice mines, you can teleport back to the start by pressing this return to spawn button down the corner, and you can leave the ice mines through here, and then you take the mole roop all the way over here, and this here is the frozen over castle. That's pretty gnarly. You can see that the mole roop is ready here, ready to shoot, and you can activate the cutscene for it just by walking next to the mole roop. There will be a cutscene here with the mayor of Winterfest, Mayor Claus, kind of giving you the lore dump about Elusier, who ran this town over its tyrannical rule. Elusier was defeated and cast out, and while another tyrant rose in his place, this one is different. Okay, mole roop, fire away! And yeah, there it goes, and then there goes the ice. And now we have free access to this area. This here is the frozen castle, which, if you recognize anything about this decoration, this is a frozen over version of the Haunted Mansion from the Haunted Realm events. Obviously, you don't have to go through 100 doors this time to reach the final room, because, like, could you imagine if you had to? Like, oh my god. And once you go through this pretty short hallway, you will find this guy. This here is Glacial, the winter legendary for Tales of Tanorio, residing where Elusier once sat. And it is quite cool, ain't it? I'm personally a big fan of this guy. Anyways, with that, you can go fight him and then defeat him. He's not too difficult to defeat. And once you've done that, Glacial will be roaming inside the wilds of the Winterfest. Which, side note, I've been calling Glacial's name Glackhole for the longest time. And then Lucky released this video when the event first came out and called it Glacial. I was like, what the hell? Anyways, Glacial makes more sense, so I'm gonna call it that for the rest of this video. But if you heard me say this guy's name like ever and I pronounced it as Glackhole, that's why. Anyways, with that is the end of the story of the Winterfest update. It's pretty short. It's nothing too big. After that, you can go on to you can start hunting. I mean, you could have hunted before that, but you wouldn't have access to Glacial, so it's good to start. You know, you have to get I give the story of the Winterfest events a 6 out of 10. It's not like amazing. It could definitely have some more cutscenes, maybe at the beginning, explaining how Elusier took over, or more rather, how Glacial took over after Elusier was defeated. That would have been pretty cool to see, especially like when he first joined, if there was like a cutscene with the original Haunted Realm and then getting frozen over and then the Winterfest area appearing behind it. I personally think that would have been pretty cool, but maybe that's just me. Maybe that would have been difficult, I don't know. Either who, I give this story a 6 out of 10. It's fine. Next up, let's talk about something that I forgot to mention inside the Haunted Realm video. So I'm going to kind of talk about the Haunted Realm in this section as well. But yeah, bear with me. Let's talk about the map itself. Like always, Tales of Tanorio cooks with their maps. Every single update has had like incredible visuals. Every single map looks absolutely gorgeous. I genuinely think Tales of Tanorio is one of the best looking creature capturing games inside of the scene. But I do think this was a bit of a step down from past updates. And my biggest issue with the Winterfest area is that it's just too damn dark. Like, look at me right now. I'm in the main area of the event, and unless I'm standing right here, there is no light on me anywhere. And my main issue with this is that the event is taking place during night. There is no day-night cycle in the event, so at every moment it is nighttime, and the game Tales of Tanorio has traditionally always kind of had bad nighttime graphics. Whenever there isn't a direct light source on the player, it's actually incredibly difficult to even see yourself. The only part of this map that's lit pretty well, in my opinion, is this specific hunting area that actually has really good lighting, because as you can see, like I'm not near any light source, and I could actually see myself. Everywhere else in the map, it is way too dark. It's not like Lumion Legacy where their Christmas event was also taking place during nighttime, and yet you could actually see what's going on. Or if you want to look at a game like Pokemon Legends Arceus, despite it being nighttime, the lighting actually makes it so you could see yourself and the Pokemon around you quite well, without even needing a physical light source like a lamppost. The harsh reality is Tales of Tanorio just doesn't look that good at night. This has been a complaint of mine ever since the game came out, and nothing's really changed. The game is still just bland whenever it isn't daytime. And if you want to make it nighttime because of the Aurora Veil that's at the top of the map that you can't really see, but if I just go up here, you can see it's at the very top. If you want it to be nighttime so it makes sense, then okay, sure. Then put more lights around. The encounter area had more lights and you could actually see where you are, and it looked pretty good here. Although I wouldn't say it's amazing, it at least had light. At least you could actually see your character. Anywhere that isn't here, it's just too damn dark. Just change the night shaders up so that you could actually see your character, or just make it daytime, you know? I feel like that's a much easier solution. I still think the map of Winterfest looks really good and is another testament to why Tales of Tanorio is one of the best looking creature capturing games. But if it had better shaders and was during daytime, in my opinion, it would suit it better. Like literally, the loading screen for the event hub for Winterfest literally has the event hub in daylight, and it looks amazing. I'm gonna be honest, sacrificing the light of the Winterfest event just so that you could have an Aurora Veil at the very top of the map wasn't an amazing call, especially when the Aurora Veil just doesn't look that great. The shaders in the sky are a bit of an issue, but the rest of the map is still fantastic. The map itself, I'm gonna give it like 9.5, almost a 10 out of 10. But the shaders bring it down to like a 6 or 7 out of 10. But there is one thing that I forgot to mention, and that is the hitboxes. The hitboxes of the Winterfest event, I'll give you some credit, they're better than Haunted Realm. But there are still some areas that just have like bad hitboxes. Like why is the hitbox around the rupture so bad? Why, if I want to walk around this rock, I have to go all the way over here? Why do I specifically have to touch that specific grass? Why can't I walk through here? It is better than the Haunted Realm in some degree, but there are still some spots like this rock where you can just walk through. But that's better than like there being an invisible wall that you just can't walk through at all. Being able to walk through a solid object is better than not being able to walk through an object at all that's like not even there, you know? In short, the hitboxes still need work. Moreover, what is this? What is this? I genuinely don't know what is this. This part of the game, it's supposed to be like an extra mini game, but I did not mention it at all in the content area of the game because it is pointless. The hitboxes of it are even worse. It feels so last minute, even though I'm pretty sure it wasn't last minute. I'm pretty sure it was something that was planned from the very beginning, but the hitboxes of it are terrible. It looks a lot worse compared to the rest of the Winterfest event, and it's pretty much completely pointless. Like if you could like finish this little like skating area and get something out of it, maybe it would be like a little bit more worth it. Maybe I could include it in the content section, but there's genuinely no reason to do this at all. Not to mention, if you want to finish it, there's a really bad hitbox right here that makes you have to go from the very right edge of the area. You literally just can't walk through here. But not only that, if you do finish the skating ring, there's terrible hitboxes here, and you just can't go back to the main area. It won't let you. I'm trying to walk through here and it won't let me. You literally can't. You can't even climb this fence, you can't do anything. And what makes it even worse is that you can go behind this house and you can go through this wall. What? Now, thankfully, there is indeed a get unstuck button, so if you do finish the thing, you can just get unstuck and spawn back here. But why are the hitboxes like that for this like skating section in the first place? Why? What is the point? Again, the hitboxes are better than the Haunted Realm, but they're not amazing. It makes me want to lower the map section from like the 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 it would have been. It brings it down to like a 6.5 out of 10. I'm gonna repeat myself here, but build-wise, this is still amazing. I'm pretty sure Bia does most of the builds for Tales of Story. Tanorio. But yeah, it's incredible, it looks great, it just needs better lighting, and the hitboxes need to be fine-tuned a little bit more. Really quickly, we also have to talk about the visuals for the second area of the Winterfest, which is the Arctic Expedition, the ice mines, whatever you want to call it. I'm reviewing this area separate to the Winterfest because my thoughts on it are a little bit different. There's clear effort to make this like beginning section look cool, but I feel like there just needs to be more decorations or more going on, because this is quite geometric and quite boring in my opinion. Also, there's a literal hole right here, like why? And also, I just like don't get the point of this hallway. Like, this section right here actually looks quite nice, like before the maze starts. It actually looks quite nice, but I don't get the point of this hallway. I feel like they could have just connected this section to this section and not had this hallway. This hallway just makes it more annoying to get from the beginning of the ice mines to the actual ice mines. Maybe even the map could have been shrunken down a little bit, because the ice mines is huge and it takes forever to walk through the entire ice mines. I genuinely don't know why it's so big. Like, you're only ever walking from here, and even with a mount, you're not going to be walking that fast, and there are barely any ice mines sprinkled throughout the entire maze. On top of that, this just doesn't look like a mine that much. It looks more like a maze than a mine. I appreciate that there was effort put into like making, like, decorating this area. Like, I like these stones, I like these crystals. It doesn't change the fact that the cave itself is still incredibly geometric and it just doesn't look like a cave. The decorations are still nice though. Like, there's like mine carts with crystals in them, and then you could find like trees, overgrown roots, etc. There's also just like a skeleton. I'm not sure what skeleton is supposed to be. Or is that not even a skeleton? Actually, no, wait, that's a scarf. Next up, let's talk about the music. But this section will be a bit more interesting than the past Tales of Tanorio reviews I've done, since instead of getting some sort of like volume 5 from Kyle Allen Music this time around, instead, they did the most logical thing they could have done, and that was reuse an old track that they had already made from Tales of Tanorio's vast OST. Because honestly, they have so many tracks in their OST that just made the most sense. And there just happens to be a theme that fits perfectly for the Winterfest event, that being the Kaigan Cliffs theme, which if you don't remember what that was the very last route on the release update for Tales of Tanorio, the snow route with Cheeruff and Snow Kid and all that. This is my personal favorite theme from Tales of Tanorio. It is so nice. I love it, and it doesn't get enough love in my opinion. So I'm personally happy that it got reused inside Winterfest, even though now more people will be associating this theme with the Winterfest event rather than Kaigan Cliffs, but that's fine. At least the theme got out to more people. It's still just an incredible theme. One of my favorites from the entire game. 10 out of 10. They couldn't have picked a better theme. It literally, it's so good that it sounds like it was made for Winterfest. Obviously, since it was already made by Kyle Allen Music, it already has that Tales of Tanorio theme, that Tales of Tanorio aesthetic, so that wasn't really something to worry about. And you might think, looking at this, well then, for the other themes for this event, they might be doing something similar. Maybe for Glacial, they reused the Legendary Battle theme, since, you know, that was already a perfectly fine Legendary Battle theme that they had made. And maybe for the Arctic Expedition Ice Mines, maybe they just reused one of the many cave themes that Tales of Tanorio has. But instead, Tales of Tanorio did something very different with these two themes compared to the Winterfest. First of all, let's look at the Ice Mines theme. This theme, which is currently playing inside the background, I originally thought was stock music. If you can't tell by my microphone changing in quality drastically, I have to re-record this section. I originally thought that this was stock music or not made by Kyle Allen Music, and I talked about that for a significant portion of time, but that's actually not the case. I was told that the Ice Mines theme is actually an unused version of another theme that Kyle Allen Music made, which explains why it still sounds like Kyle Allen Music's music. Which explains why it still sounds like Kyle Allen's music, but just incredibly unfinished, or, you know, bare bones. And that's my main problem with this theme. It's essentially nothing. I mean, it fits the vibe somewhat. It's quite calm, and I actually really like it a lot, but it's very obviously unfinished. I know Kyle could not have finished it because he was unavailable during this portion of the game's life, so he had actually made no new music for Winterfest entirely, like none, not at all. This is just an old theme that they decided to reuse because it somewhat fits. So I can't criticize it too much, but on the other hand, as I said earlier, there are so many other cave themes that they could have picked from. Specifically, I think the Malachite Mines theme as well as the Alpha Caverns theme would have worked best. You've been hearing the Ice Mines theme in the background this entire time, but I'll play it on its own for a little bit really quickly so that you could, you know, hear it by itself. And then I'll also play the other two themes I just mentioned on their own as well, so you can, you know, kind of see what I'm trying to say. Because I really do think reusing those two themes would have worked really well in the Ice Mines. The Ice Mines theme is solid. It's relatively calm, however it does feel unfinished. And even though in the grand scheme of things it doesn't matter too much, I still would have liked to see the Malachite Mines theme or the Alpha Caverns theme be reused here, because they just sound more complete. Now if the Ice Mines theme was actually like properly completed, which, you know, it's not that far from actually being completed, as I said, it does sound pretty nice. If it was properly completed, then yes, use that one, because it actually is, it sounds frosty, if that makes sense. However, if I had to pick between a new theme that is unfinished and scrapped, or a old theme that I could just reuse, I think I would prefer the old theme. I don't know, that's just my personal preferences. I'm gonna give the Ice Mines theme a 5 out of 10. Just like the Ice Mines itself. It's not bad per se. I think anything that is 5 out of 10 or higher is at least average. It's not bad, it's just not the best option that they could have chosen. But finally, we have the final theme from the Winterfest event, and it is quite interesting. They obviously wanted Glacial to feel special some way, and one way that they could do that is by giving it its own battle theme, like they did with Elusier back during the Haunted Realm event. But Kyle Allen Music isn't here to make a battle theme, they said. What are they gonna do? Just take a free stock sound from the marketplace and slap it onto Glacial and call it a day? No, they decided to commission an entirely new composer to make an entirely custom battle theme for Glacial, just completely devoid from Kyle Allen Music entirely. And it fucking slaps, dude! The Glacial battle theme is made by a composer called NayuKhrome. I think that's how you pronounce that. I literally couldn't find it anywhere, not even on Spotify or on YouTube, at least in high quality, so I'll put it in the link in the description if you want to take a listen to it for yourself. But it is pretty sick. I'm personally a big fan of the types of battle themes that just like absolutely blast your eardrums with glaring noises. It's one of my favorite types of battle themes, and I love that specific style. It's not up to everyone's preference, and that is okay. But again, as I said, I'm just a big fan of themes like this, so I'm personally a huge fan, and somehow it has a similar charm to how Kyle Allen Music makes his music. And in fact, when I first heard this battle theme in the test server, I asked if Kyle Allen Music had made it, because I genuinely thought it was made by Kyle Allen Music. That's how good it is. Great theme, a bit loud, I personally like that, not up to everyone's standard. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. It is stellar, and I don't mean to compare Tales of Tanorio to Lumion Legacy, I truly don't. That is something that I do not like to do. But this genuinely finds a way to be unique compared to Lumion Legacy's Christmas battle theme for this year, which was obviously Grimmyline's battle theme. I love Grimmyline, and in fact I don't hate its battle music either, but in my opinion it's just so bland. And then I look at something like Glacial's battle theme, and I just get a little disappointed, because this finds a way to be so unique despite how many Christmas themes Lumion Legacy has already put out that are all amazing in their own right, and Glacial still finds a way to be more unique than all of them. Genuinely an incredible winter event theme, 9 out of 10 as I said earlier. Great job. Finally, let's go over all of the new Tanorians that were added with this update, as well as all of the new reskins that were added with this update. We got 21 new Tanorians total, including variants, evolutions, and legendaries, and alternate forms, and we got 9 reskins, for a total of 30 new Tanorians in this event, which is 3 more than Halloween, which is honestly quite respectable. Firstly, I want to quickly mention Lil Paka. This was not a Tanorian added with Winterfest, and it's not a part of the total 30 that were added with this event, but I want to quickly mention it because it was added like less than a week before the event actually started. This little guy replaced Elagello inside of the Snow Weather in the main game, which is why Elagello is now considered a Winterfest Tanorian. Now, it's also not a part of the total 30 new Tanorians that were added with Winterfest because it's not new, but I'll give my thoughts on Elagello now. I love it. It is so cute. Its animation definitely needs improving though, because it is noticeably old, but I just love it so much. It's so silly. It's one of my favorites. Like, I loved it ever since it released. In its evolution, Miamutundra is honestly awesome. Now, this is another noticeably old Tanorian, because its animations are not up to standard. Like, seriously, what is going on here? Why is it like not on the ground? What is going on? But design wise, I love this fella. I'm gonna give Elagello like a 8 out of 10. I think it's so cute, and I'm gonna give Miamutundra a 7 out of 10. It is so late at night right now, but I completely forgot to rank Lil Paka and Pactua, which is its evolution. oops. I think Lil Pac is a little ugly, so I'm gonna give it like a 4 out of 10. But I honestly kind of like Pactua. It's a really good design, and I personally like camels a lot, and its shiny is camel colored, so I love that a lot. Its name is unfortunate though. So I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10, saved by its shiny. Its name brings it down. Yes, I take names very seriously. You will see that soon. Anyways, now onto the actual new Tanorians added with the Winterfest event. Here we have Snowloft, a pure ice type Tanorian. This is one that we've actually known about its existence for a while, but it was just not a part of the game because it was obviously teased with the Winterfest trailer that was released like I think 2 years ago now. I wouldn't say it's like necessarily cute. I'm not the biggest fan of it, especially because its animations like just they feel so old. I don't know. But it's not terrible. I just have a little bit of a disdain towards it because, you know, it's a common and I got a lot of shinies of it. I also got a shelf of it, which is absurd. Frostloff evolves into Jubilazy starting at level 18. This is another pure ice type Tanorian, and I feel similarly about it compared to Snowloft. I don't know if I like its eyes just being closed all the time, but I will say this is just a tad bit better than Snowloft in my opinion. It's at least not ugly. I'm gonna give it like a 6.5 out of 10. Oh, and Snowloft is like a 4 out of 10. And then Jubilazy will evolve into Frostloft starting at level 38, which is a little high. It's another pure ice type Tanorian, and this is actually a gender dependent evolution. It can evolve into Frostloft male and Frostloft female depending obviously on its gender. This is the female form, and I personally think it's just a bit under-modeled, but its animations are definitely newer. Like, they're visibly better than Snowloft and Jubilazy. That's kind of the only thing saving it, because aside from that, like the whiskers are cool, sharp claws are kind of cool, but aside from that, it's just kind of bland. Like, it has nothing on its back, nothing on its front. It's just pure colors all around. Since Snowloft was one of the oldest revealed Tanorians inside the game, I have reason to believe that this was just made a long time ago and they just reused it because, you know, it's a fine Tanorian. It's not bad. It feels a lot lower quality compared to the newer ones that they make nowadays. I'm giving Frostloft female a 7 out of 10. Its animations definitely help my opinion of it a lot. It's actually quite satisfying. And then Frostloft male looks like this. Is a little shorter, but he's obviously more masculine in his build. Aside from that, it's very similar to Frostloft female, has the same whiskers. The blue that's around its arms and stuff is actually more of a turquoise color, while the female one was a bit darker. It also has crotch fur. I don't know what to think about this one. Again, its back is kind of plain and it's very clearly one of the older Tanorians, but its animations are definitely newer. That's also visibly obvious, so that kind of saves it like Frostloft female. In my opinion, Frostloft female is just a little bit better though, so I'm gonna give this one like a 6.5 out of 10 as well. I said that as if I was gonna continue into something, but I have nothing else to say. Next up, we have another common inside the Winterfest event. This is Ember. Get it? It's cold and it's fiery. It's an ice and fire type. It's not immediately obvious what it's supposed to be from its pre-evolution, and the fact that its name is just Ember with, you know, burr stuck at the end is not helping that case. I think it's cute, but again, it's just like, why is it fire type? You know, that's like the main thing that's irritating me. Why are you fire type? This is supposed to be a monkey. Yeah, believe it or not, I'm gonna give Ember itself like a 7 out of 10. It's cute, but again, obviously it was a common inside the Winterfest, so I obviously have a little bit of disdain towards it. I do like it a little bit more though, because there was a really funny bug with Ember where whenever you found a shiny, the shiny beam would just be absolutely massive and it was just ridiculous, and that was just super funny. So I like Ember just a little bit more, so I'm actually bump it up to like a 7. If you didn't believe me that this thing is supposed to be like a monkey type thing, well, its evolution is Kong. You know, Kong. I mean, is Kong a different animal? That's a monkey, right? I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a monkey. Anyways, this thing is awesome. I am a big fan of it, and it has this awesome idle animation where, like, it's pretty simple at first, but then if it wants to do what it did a second ago, there we go. It does this thing, like an idle thing, and it's so fun. It gives so much personality to it. But again, why is it fire type? In my opinion, this should have been ice fighting type or something like that, you know? Why is it fire type? I just honestly don't get that too much. And I will say, I wish it had just like better posture in general. Like, its current form right now, it doesn't look like it has bad posture, but the way it's modeled kind of puts it in a position where it just always kind of has like a bit of a shrimp posture. Maybe instead of its head going like this, it could go like this, if that makes sense. I don't know. I don't really know how to explain my thoughts without a drawing pad in front of me. It's still really cool though, and I'm a big fan. 8.5 out of 10 overall. Very great design. Next up, we have the Delta form of Whistling. Now this, we did know of this thing's existence before because, you know, this was originally a Halloween Tanorian, now main game Tanorian, with a purple and orange form, main and a beta form. But now we got the Delta form, which is the blue form. It's called the Delta form in game. My opinions of it are the exact same as all of the other Whistling forms. 7 out of 10. I love it. I think it's super unique, and I also like that it's a design made by my friend, and I think that's awesome. But still, as a Tanorian, it's just pretty great. The main way Whistling shines is in its evolutions. Obviously, the main purple form became Dolagal, which is a ghost and psychic type, and then the orange form, the beta form, became Vampirer, which is a ghost and fire type, and then the blue form, the Delta form, becomes Frostlycan. This thing is so cute. I love it. I love this thing so much. It is so chubby. I just want to squish it. I honestly kind of wish that the purple form, the main form, evolved into Frostlycan. You know, it's gonna be purple, and like the blue parts were just turned into purple, because it is so cool and I love it. It is a contender for one of my favorite Tanorians. It is so cute. At first, the paw design with like the 4 fingers that are like symmetrical to each other was a bit off-putting, but I did some research and that's just how wolf hands just work. So that's on me. I did not know that. I feel kind of stupid for not knowing that. That's just I'm just slow. Anyways, Whistling was a 7 out of 10. Frostlycan, 10 out of 10. Great. Perfect design. Next up, we have Gift Tots, probably one of the most controversial Tanorians added with this update. And I gotta say, the design itself for Gift Tot is, you know, quite simple, but its gimmick of having 16 million different colorations depending on its hex code, which is randomly generated, is so cool. And I love that you can actually just view the hex code from the menu. That's so sick. As I said in the content section, I do wish that you could actually see the hex code from the battle menu, because that would have been cool. But that's not too big of a deal breaker. I think Gift Tot on its own is like a 6 out of 10, but with the color changing mechanic, I think that's pretty unique. It also has a cool shiny where the black parts and the white parts invert. I think that's cool. I'm gonna raise it to like a 7 out of 10. It's also dark and fire type, which is so unique. I think that's cool. It might not make sense for Gift Tot, but it will make sense for its evolution. And oh boy, this here is Coalboy. His name is Coalboy. Now, as a design, I think it's quite neat. You know, it's based off an action figure. I love like the glowy like red that's inside of his hands. His hands are literally finger guns. I think that's quite cool. And again, it does carry over the color changing mechanic from Gift Tot, which is nice. But like, why are his arms so long? It just looks so awkward, and I can't really tell what I don't like about it. And if you know anything about this update when it first released, this guy was flamed all over Twitter, which was honestly kind of funny. And like, after some time has passed, I have grown a little bit warmer towards Coalboy. I don't hate him. I still think he could use some improvements, but I don't hate him as much as I did before. So I'm gonna give Coalboy a 9 out of 10. I think its design is fine. Like it's 7.5 out of 10. Okay, it's fine. It's cool. But what is that name? Coalboy? Are you kidding me? I can tell you what that means. It's supposed to be coal and cowboy and boy, as in, you know, superheroes. But it just looks like coal and boy slapped together, and it really doesn't work. He doesn't look like a cowboy. Bloody incarnate icicle looks better than this. I think again, I'm repeating myself here. His design is fine, but his name infuriates me beyond no belief. 1 out of 10. I hate this. I don't hate it, but like its name does kind of ruin it for me. I'm gonna like drop to like a 5 out of 10. Okay, it goes from like an 8 to like a 5 out of 10. This guy is BitBite, and I actually forgot to mention it in the content section because it's not particularly contentful. But if you go over here to this toy shop, alongside a broken toy and a stuffed toy, which we'll go over what those do in a second, you can buy a Tanorian called BitBite for 1,500 candy canes, which is again this event's currency, like how candy corns were the currency for Halloween. Now this is just supposed to be like a toy thingy. I think it's pretty cute, though a little bit bland. It kind of resembles Gift Tot actually, now that I look at it. I wonder if that was intentional. Anyways, I don't have much to say on Bitbite. Let me look at its shiny actually. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. I actually quite like that. That's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna give Bitbite like a 6 out of 10. It's not amazing, but it's not like bad by any means. It's just kind of there. And then once Bitbite reaches level 30, which by the way, Bitbite is a pure metal type. Once it reaches level 30, it will evolve into this thing called Torrentoi. Now, what am I looking at? This is supposed to be like a transformer type Tanorian. You know, it's supposed to be like a firefighter, and it's quite interesting. A robot and transforms into this firefighting car, and it is quite unique. I can't lie. I'm actually quite a big fan of this. And I also like how the model's like specifically built to be able to turn into a fire truck. That is honestly really cool, like all things considered. The problem is its hitbox is whack. He's all the way over there, and even if I go into the menu really quickly, what's he doing over there? What are you doing? He's only really centered whenever he goes into his little fire truck mode. And I can demonstrate this by like showing this really quickly by inching towards him. See that? You see that the part where he just like goes like whoop 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 whoop. When he's in his fire truck mode, he has like a center point that's like, you know, logical. But when he's in his regular mode, he's doing this. And if I just show you this really quickly with my glacial, I can like inch really near him before he even starts to turn around. Like my model is like literally clipping with his model, and it's not before I directly like cross his center point before he turns around. This is completely opposite of what Torrentoi does. And the fact that it has this bad of a hitbox just kind of sours this Tanorian for me. Like I can't really take it that seriously, especially when this is its animation. Like what is it doing? In general, the animations just feel a little whack, and they help sour an otherwise awesome Tanorian. If they fix the issues of this will be like a 8, even 9 out of 10 Tanorian. But because of these hitbox issues and like its animation, I don't want to say rushed, but it doesn't feel right. It brings it down to like a 7, 6 out of 10, okay? I really do hope that it gets fixed somehow though, because it is genuinely really cool. Next up we got Pharrell, which this is supposed to be a tree squirrel. I like it. It's quite cute. I'm not sure if I like that it's a single stage, but it's a well-designed single stage. I love the proportion of the tree just being ginormous. Anyways, I love Pharrell. It is so cool. It is so cute. It is one of my favorites from this event. I love it so much. I'm gonna give it like a 9 out of 10. It is a very well-designed Tanorian. I don't love its name because it does spell out fire. I know it's supposed to be fern and squirrel, but it still looks like it spells out fire, so I kind of wish they could have chosen like literally any other botanical plant other than fern, like for example arboreal, which means something living in trees, so maybe something like arborel. I think that would have been perfect. And for the life of me, please spell squirrel at the end properly. We aren't in France. Tanorio is based on the UK. You don't need to spell it like that. Like I know it's supposed to help with pronunciation, but like it looks stupid, and it like makes it even more confusing to read in my opinion. So changes to how the end of squirrel is normally spelled, and there you go, Arborel. That's honestly a pretty good name in my opinion. I won't hold its name against Pharrell though, because in my opinion it isn't nearly as bad as something like Cowboy, so I'm gonna keep it like a 9 out of 10, maybe like lower to like an 8.5 out of 10, but still amazing Tanorian. Next up we got Crick Health, and I don't know, what are we doing? I don't know if I like this or not, but at least it has a interesting evolution gimmick, where if you remember the stuffed toy and broken toy that we mentioned earlier, depending on which toy you feed it, it will evolve into something different. Crick Elf itself is like a 6 out of 10. It's kind of cute. I mean, I can see why people will like it. It's little stubs for arms, but it is just a bean. If you feed it the stuffed toy, it will evolve into Clawsket, which is this roach that kind of just gains ginormous like light cannons on its arms. It's kind of cool. It reminds me a bit of Cleavor with how like it's like kind of like statued. I would have personally had the face be a little bit wider, but I think it's a great design. I'm gonna give it like an 8 out of 10. It's pretty good. Then if you feed it the broken toy, it will evolve into Cram Roach, which this one's pretty cool. I'm a big fan of this one. I love how its face shape like genuinely like changes, and it's like quite intimidating. I love how it also like rips like the extra arm sleeves out of the, I mean, it's like, it's obviously a coat because it has like the arm things, but like it's kind of hard to tell what's going on here, especially because the coat doesn't fit the shape of his body. Like I'm in the coat here. There's space enough for my camera to reside in, you know? How is this coat being held up? This doesn't make sense. I like this design, but the coat is severely bothering me. Cram Roach gets like a 7 out of 10 for me. Next up, we actually have our first fossil Tanorian. There were 3 different fossils that you could find inside the ice mines, and one of them will be revived into Aranake. Aranake is a poison and ice type Tanorian, and I think it's like decently cute, but it does stand out because it's one of the more unique Tanorians that they added with this event. And then at level 40, it evolves. This is Dianake. It's 2 very cool looking snakes that are stuck together with some ice that form together to make a DNA shape. I think it's cool enough, even though it's like a little bit basic, like the snakes by themselves are just a little bit too basic. I will say the ice snake is like definitely cooler, like because it has like more details going on, while the purple poison snake is just kind of boring. But overall, I like it a lot, although both Aranake and Dianake don't have the best walking animations, because it's hard to animate 2 snakes that are literally like rigidly stuck together. But like I feel like it could be a little bit better than this, you know, because like this section of the body is literally static. It's very hard to tell that anything is moving at all in this section when you're just like moving like this. It feels incredibly static, and I feel like they could have done something a little bit better. I personally would have liked to see maybe the snakes like kind of coiling around themselves, or maybe not like coiling around themselves, but like coiling within like the little bar thing that they have. I don't know, the design concept, like the idea for the concept is cool, but in execution it's kind of hard to pull off. Also, just a tiny gripe, the walk animation is not properly aligned with the idle animation, so whenever you start walking, they have to go backwards every single time I stop, which is not great. So overall, I would give Aranake like a 6 or 7 out of 10. It's cute, but its movement is a little, does knock it down a couple points for me at least. And then Dianake, it's like an 8 out of 10. It's super cool, but its movement does like knock it down for me like a 9 or 10 out of 10. However, those are not its final rankings, because I have one more gripe with this Tanorian. That is his names. What were they thinking? Aranake and Dianake? Like, okay, they sound pretty cool, but this isn't an RNA strip. The DNA part of Dianake feels so forced that like the actual movement of the Tanorian is like sacrificed for it. Like it feels like the DNA things were added like last second just to make the name DNA sound like it makes sense. They don't even move in a helix shape. Like what is this? And like, okay, fine, like it rolls off the tongue like somewhat nice, but they look terrible. Aranake and Dianake, the R and D are so close to S on your keyboard that genuinely whenever I type in Aranake and Dianake, it just looks like I'm typoing snake. It literally looks like they tried to name a Tanorian Snake. That's what this looks like. I had to be told that it was supposed to be Dianake before I understood that it was, you know, Dianake. I feel like they could have very easily changed its name to be like Dianake, with like the DNA capitalized. They put all of their eggs into one basket after coming up with this DNA snake idea. They were like, we're doing this for sure, we're not going back to the drawing board at all. And it resulted in a Tanorian that, though it looks cool, has minor imperfections that like severely ruined the Tanorian for me. Aranake is like a 6 out of 10, okay? It's still somewhat cute. Its name is a little annoying though. Dianake, it goes from like the 9 out of 10 it would have been. Its name knocks it down to like a 2 out of 10 for me. Okay, maybe not that bad. I don't know. I'm curious what people think about Dianake, because I didn't actually get to see much of the public reception on Dianake as much as, you know, as much as Coldboy did. Dianake was a little bit more hidden behind. I just saw like some people like thinking it looks a little basic, which I agree with, but I still think it looks cool. I haven't seen many people comment on its animation or its name, so maybe it's just the me thing, but I don't know. I don't know. I can't give this Tanorian a high score. I have to stick by my morals. If I gave Coldboy a bad score, to give Dianake a bad score too. After that, we have our second fossil Tanorian from the ice mines. This is Ella Strike. Am I the only one that wasn't aware of this Tanorian's existence for like the longest time? Even as a tester, like I knew about Aranake and Dianake, but like I genuinely didn't even know about this thing. It's like this pig hog horned thing, and it honestly looks pretty awesome. It is like really forgettable though, especially because Tortoise already has like the pig snout. I don't think it's supposed to be a pig, but they feel very similar. And also Ella Strike just feels undermodeled compared to the other fossil Tanorians, even Dianake. But I personally like it a lot. I think it looks really cool. It's definitely the better Tanorian fossil species that they added with Winterfest, because the third one's a reskin, we'll get to it later. So I'm gonna honestly give it like a 7.5 out of 10. pretty neat. Now that we're done with Electric, now we can talk about the reskins. There are still some other Tanorian species sprinkled throughout here and there, but they make sense to mention in other sections. So for now, I'm just gonna move on to the reskins, which there were actually a lot less reskins inside of this event compared to Halloween. There was only 9 of them. On the topic of fossils and also on the topic of Torturous, Torturous actually received a holiday form. This is Festive for Drake. This is the 3rd and final fossil that you can revive from the ice mines, but I like this reskin quite a lot. Also, with the snout thing, it's not supposed to be a pig, right? I don't know. Anyways, I like this reskin a lot. It's just so jolly and its animations are so nice to look at. I'm just a big fan. I don't have much to say on it. In fact, I've been spending a lot more time on this section than I thought I would, so I should probably speed it up a little bit. So yeah, 9 out of 10. Great reskin. It is so cute. I wish its walk animation didn't make it fly so high in the air though, but it's whatever. This is Festive Marball, and to say I wasn't expecting it is an understatement. When I saw this thing caught me by surprise. It's kind of like a Gravestone situation, where randomly they decided to give a reskin to a Tanorian that was introduced in the Halloween event. Now, I've never really liked regular base Marball because I feel like it's a bit too basic. I know it's based on a Weeping Stone Angel statue, but you can make statue creature designs without them feeling static as hell. Look at Gargolem, for example. Gargolem's a really good statue design, and it doesn't feel static at all. So I've never really loved Marball, but I will say I have kind of warmed up to it at least a little bit. But Marball Festive, on the other hand, improves it so much. It looks so nice in this form. I love it so much. Just adding more details and design elements just makes the design feel more involved. It works beautifully. And plus, I love a good gingerbread house design. In fact, Gravestone, like I mentioned a second ago, does the same thing in its Christmas reskin, which is a really funny coincidence. And what a shocker, I like both of these reskins. I like this a lot. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. It's an amazing reskin. And also, this reskin is huge. Like, you saw the Marball that I spawned. It was tiny, like on accident. It was tiny. And this one's just like, it's taller than me. Next up, we got For Drake. Hello there. This was one of the reskins that was actually revealed 2 years ago in the original Winterfest trailer. I'm pretty sure it was redone in that time, and now there's a bite in its tail. And also, it was just remodeled to match modern day For Drake, because I believe the old For Drake was outdated at least a little bit. This one's walking animation has the same problem as regular For Drake, where its torso is way too static and it definitely needs a rehaul. But its idle animation is very nice, and if I could move away from it without it, you know, inching towards me closer, it's got a great idle animation. For Drake has always been incredibly animated, except for its walk animation. Every other animation that For Drake has looks great. Now, in terms of how a reskin goes, this is pretty much just For Drake, but tinted a slightly bluer color on its main body. Obviously, the hammer that's on its tail normally was changed to be an ice cube, and then they put a bite there that wasn't always there, so I don't really know where that came from. So if we look at regular For Drake, it's pretty much like identical. The only model-wise different things that has is that like the hand sword thingies are now icicles that are dripping, and then there's like a little bit of drip on the tail spike things itself. Hammer was obviously changed to be an ice cube, and overall like it is definitely more festive, but I just think it's a bit basic. The bite definitely helps give it personality. I like that a lot. For Drake Festive, I'm gonna give a 7 out of 10. It's very simple, but it's very good at the same time. It's pretty efficient. It's just a little too simple, but not bad by any means. There is one more reskin we got in the initial release of the Winterfest event, but I will talk about that later in the Legendaries section. For now, let's move on to the reskins that were added later. January 1st, 2025, on the dawn of the new year, we were gifted the best thing that has ever come to humankind since sliced bread. Here is 2025 Pactua. Or New Year's Pactua, if you'd rather say that. This thing is technically divorced from the Winterfest event as a whole, but I'm still counting it here because it was a part of the event with the ruptures. It was like a mini 1 week long thing when the event ruptures were added to the Winterfest. And at the end of the day, it was more content for the Winterfest event, so I'm gonna count it here. Anyways, my opinions on this reskin are quite simple. I've liked Pactua, but I think this reskin is kinda ridiculous. It's literally a meme Tanorian. I feel like there were better Tanorians that kinda deserved this spot more, and I personally wish we got a reskin for something like Bomb Beetle instead. which was perfect because it was a firework Tanorian. It would have worked, it would have fit perfectly. I know Bombito is like not an original design by the TOT crew. It was originally a fan design, but I still think like, because it's like they got permission to put it into TOT, I'm assuming they should be allowed to give it a reskin, especially if it's something as simple as New Year's. Like, okay, if the original artist specifically did not want it, that would be different, but I'm assuming the person behind Bombito either didn't care or was fine with it. But as far as I'm aware, they never asked the original artist, so we'll never know. And it's a huge missed opportunity because Bombito has been in the game since the release. Pack 2 was added like less than a week before the Winterfest event began. It doesn't represent the new year, it doesn't represent anything except a meme. But like, surely they could have given the reskin to another Tanorian that they did actually make, and they knew they had permission to, you know, give it any reskin they wanted. I am near positive that Pack 2 was not the most deserving for this reskin. Anyways, to, you know, give some actual like thoughts on the reskin itself instead of, you know, complaining and whining, I think it's cute. The orb on its back and on the thingies, those actually change with day and night, which I think is really cool. I think it's just broken right now because I spawned this one in, so it's not a super complex reskin. They just gave us some like basic decorations, colored its claws piss yellow, but I still think it's cute. I just think it deserved to be on a different Tanorian instead of Pack 2. So I'm gonna give Pack 2 New Year's a rating of 7 out of 10. It's solid. I do know what this one's shiny looks like. Yeah, it's really good. It is black and purple. It is so good. I want this color scheme on mutated Cheerift whenever that releases. Please. After that, we had to wait quite a while until we finally got part 2 of the Winterfest event, which, yeah, it did actually take a while this time. We didn't get as many updates in this event as we did in Halloween. And the main thing that was added with part 2 was some new reskins, including this little guy. This is a variant of Stalagstone. While regular Stalagstone is gem and bug type, festive variant Stalagstone is earth and ice type, which is very different. Gem type is like the rock type of Tales of Tanorio, so that should give you an idea. And like earth type is the ground type, so that's how it's different. Stalagstone has always been one of the more interesting Tanorians inside of the game because it's so weirdly modeled, for a lack of a better word, and the same feeling transfers over to its reskin. Now this is a variant in that it has a different typing in earth and ice, as I said earlier, and it has a different evolution than regular Stalagstone, which also, if you could see what I mean by the weirdly modeled thing. I don't know if I'm explaining myself well, but I hope you understand what I mean. It's not too bad. I still think it's quite cute. Its walking animation's a bit though. I give Stalagstone festive itself like a 7.5 out of 10. It's quite cute. And while regular Stalagstone evolves into Slut-Trap starting at level 28, festive Stalagstone, when it reaches level 28, evolves into No, it's nice. It's so nice. Oh, where were you when it was time for senior photos? This is Chandeledge. I don't know, man. This ain't it. The Tales of Tanorios normally really good with its designs. I've liked a majority of what they've released this event. With just like minor nitpicks, but I don't know. This one's, I'm not feeling this one. It's I can't. I truly could not have expected this going into part 2 of Winterfest. I was sent a PNG of this thing inside of the Ruptures when it first released, and I genuinely couldn't believe my eyes. I wouldn't, like, if I was making this design, I would have scrapped this and tried to come up with something else with this, like, similar concept of, you know, the body part from Slut-Trap being frozen and becoming a chandelier? Is that what Chandeledge's name comes from? It's almost so bad that it's good, but it just isn't, you know? Like, it's just almost there to being ironically good, but just barely misses the mark, and it's not even ironically good, it's just kind of ugly, man. I don't know who designed Chandeledge. I'm pretty sure in-game it's labeled as missing data, so we have no way of knowing right now. But I really hope that they get a chance to redesign it or remodel it or something, because this ain't it, man. Some of the other Tanorians added with Winterfest I've given low rankings to, but none of them even stand close to Chandeledge in that regard, because they have redeeming qualities about themselves. Like, DNA is actually quite cool, and its concept is really nice, but it falls flat in its name and its animations. Coalboy is a really cool concept in being like a cowboy coal present thing with 16 million different possible colors, but it falls flat in its name and its design. Brosloff has really good animations, but its design is also kind of plain. Chandelage has a decent concept, but its design is bad, its model is bad, its animations aren't great, its name is bad, its texture is bad, and it's like barely ironically funny. Like it's funny to look at, but I wouldn't love it because it's ironically funny. I don't think anyone's feeling like that for Chandelage. I want to give it at least like a 2 or 3 out of 10 because it's kind of funny, but I can't give this thing anything higher than a 0.5 out of 10. It is so bad. Anyways, moving on, we got 2 other reskins, or 3 technically other reskins with part 2, so let's go over those now. Anyways, I'm actually going to start off with the latter of these 2 reskins because we've actually seen it already before. This is Festive Mulroop, or Tank Mulroop if you're a normal person. And what I meant by we've already seen him inside of the game is, well, right over here. He's been, you know, part of the story for the Winterfest event the entire time. This guy is what we retrieved from the ice mines, and he's the guy that's going to blow up, you know, the castle thing. This reskin was an Event Rupture reskin added to Event Rupture starting from the start of Part 2 Winterfest up until the end of the event on February 10th. Now, do I think it's basic and barely festive? Yeah, like I can't really say that this looks like a winter reskin. I can say that I actually really wanted this to be a reskin ever since the start of the event when we, you know, had to get the Mulroop from the ice mines. I was like, there's no way this isn't a reskin, and I was honestly shocked when it wasn't a reskin. In terms of the reskin itself, again, it's pretty bland. I'm gonna give it like a 6 out of 10. It's not anything crazy, but I love it for existing, so it's like a 10 out of 10. Next up, we actually have the winner of another contest. Unlike Halloween, where we got 2 winners for a new Tanorian and a reskin, this time around we only had 1 contest, and that was for the reskins because there was already so many new Tanorians added with this update. And the one that won was this thing. This is Festive Lumaling, designed by the person that's on screen right now. They won the contest like by a pretty overwhelming majority if I remember correctly. Anyways, as a reskin itself, I like this a lot. Lumaling itself has always been kind of bland to me, as well as just Illumigant as a whole. I like Illumigant a lot, but there's no denying that like the Tanorian is just a little odd. Like, really look at it. This guy is not happy to be here. And then I've always liked regular Illumigant. Also, this is huge, what the hell? But like, it's no denying that it's kind of basic. Aside from like the glowy bits, it's just like a stringy fish, you know? Again, I personally think it's majestic, but I could see why other people don't really agree. But this reskin of it, starting off with Lumaling, the animation itself is a lot nicer to look at with like the tail. It's flapping more satisfyingly. And then there's a ton more details on the Tanorian itself. Obviously, since it's a reskin, there's more room to put in like tiny details like that because, you know, it's a reskin. Like, they can't really do that with a major Tanorian. And they truly added like as many details as they could with the reskin. I think it looks amazing. Lumaling Festive gets a 9 out of 10 for me. I love it. But where this design peaks is actually its evolution. Festive Illumigant. This thing is insane. It's a Polar Express Illumigant. It is incredible. It takes the original design of Illumigant and just builds on top of it with this like incredible train design. There's also a cosmic pattern on the wings, which you can't really see in the lighting, but if I go somewhere darker, you can see them a little bit nicer. The detail on the train itself just looks so good. There's the tree on the back with like the extra bits on the end. It looks so good. It takes everything that I loved about Illumigant, which was how majestic it looked, and builds on top of that with an incredibly amazingly detailed costume that just looks incredible. You're seeing what I'm seeing. There's no reason to delay any further. This is obviously a 10 out of 10. Perfect reskin right here. I'm so happy this one. This is the one I voted for personally. The spotlight in front is a bit tacky. I think it would have been better if it was like slightly transparent, but that's like a minor nitpick. The rest of the reskin is so good. It makes up for that like minor like flaw. Now we're down to the last 2 Tanorians that were added with this event, the 2 Legendaries. And the first one is a reskin. Here is Festive Brutry. I think we all knew this was coming after we saw Halloween Lampyro. You know, Lampyro and Brutry are kind of opposites, but it's still very cool to see. I think the reskin itself could have changed a bit more, and I say that, but like there's not much you can really change. I think the current reskin we got is like the best that we're gonna get from a Christmas Brutry. The festive lights honestly look super cool, as well as the snow that's been piled up on like the bushes and its head. And the Christmas trees that are on its arm and back are kind kind of tacky, but I honestly think they work really well. Like, Brew Tree has always been like incredibly imposing and menacing, and the Christmas trees only really just add to its, like, you know, width. Like, it's like the overall amount of space it takes up is larger, and I honestly think it, like, weirdly enough, works super well. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I really like this reskin. But after that, I think we both know what time it is. It's time for the one and only Glacial. I talked about Glacial quite a bit earlier, but I'm gonna repeat myself. I love this guy. His theme is awesome. He doesn't have a voice actor, but you know, that's fine because there wasn't as much story in this one compared to Halloween. I mean, there was, but like Glacial didn't have much of an involvement in it aside from, you know, making the town snowy in the first place. I love the giant arms it has. Like, I think they look super cool. His attack animation is so well animated. It's so good. I love the spirits in the tail. Like, the spirits in the tail look awesome. Whenever Glacial attacks, they actually like plug into the tail as if they're like charging its attack, and that's like its whole concept. He like stole souls, and I just love that. Some more color variety would have been nice. I'm glad that there's like that pinkish reddish color that's in its eyes and mouth. I think that's a great touch. Some more variety would have been nice, but I ain't complaining. I still love this thing so much, and throughout this entire video, I've been using this version of it that isn't in the game. This is mutated Glacial, and this isn't actually its correct coloring. This is the correct coloring, if I could just show you. Anyways, 10 out of 10, without a doubt. I love this guy. Now that I have gone over everything that was added from the duration of the Winterfest event, like literally everything, I'm pretty sure, what went wrong? Because very clearly this event was not as popular as the Haunted Realm. Because just by looking at the content that is inside the event at a surface level, there is as much, if not even more, stuff inside of the Winterfest event than there was in Haunted Realm. So why wasn't Winterfest pulling 2K players on a Lumion Legacy update day? Well, there's the obvious answer that doors was obviously a big factor in the Halloween event's success. Or sorry, Haunted Realm after it had died down compared to Winterfest, which I wasn't seeing anybody for the most part play Winterfest. I knew like 2 people personally that were actively hunting Winterfest as opposed to Lumion Legacy. And that's another reason too. Unlike Halloween, where Tales of Tanorio released their Halloween events a couple weeks after Lumion Legacy did, this time around it was only like 5 days apart. And even though those are the 2 most likely and probably obvious answers to that question, I want to give some more potential reasons as to why the event did worse that weren't due to external things. In other words, these were problems that were caused by choices that the developers made. First of all, let's look at the main minigame of the 2 events. While Haunted Realm had the Haunted Mansion, which was essentially a recreation of Doors but with Tales of Tanorio elements, the Ice Mines was a mining minigame similar to something from Sinnoh. And just by a gameplay standard, the Ice Mines feels more grindy. The Ice Mines definitely feels like you're like just playing a simulator. And unless if there is a specific mutated shiny of a route common that you really wanted, or you wanted to hunt the fossils, there was no reason to spend time in the Ice Mines whatsoever. Well, I mean, I guess there was the event currency and the EXP cubes as well. There was nothing super rare or super unique inside of the Ice Mines, and I feel like it could have benefited from more incentive, you know? In my opinion, the Ice Mines doesn't look that great. If it was more like a minigame where you had to strategically avoid the Fordrake that's chasing you around the maze, that honestly would have been kind of cool. But we didn't get that. We just got like an area that you go into and you tap on the wall and you can mine if you want. Honestly, a minigame similar to the Carvantula door from the Haunted Mansion would have been cool, except maybe a little better polished, a little better executed, maybe a little bit bigger. And instead of like the Jacknets hiding around their like mining spots, you know, and then the Fordrake's roaming around and like actually, you know, roams around, it's not broken, that would be nice as well. So that would have been really cool. And if Winterfest ever returns and we get the Ice Mines returns, if it isn't replaced with a new minigame, I really hope they remake the Ice Mines. I think that would definitely help, you know? And yeah, I could have probably said all of this in the Ice Mine section, so oops. Another thing I want to point out is the severe lack of updates to the Winterfest event. If I recall correctly, the Haunted Realm had a new update almost every single week, and that definitely helped keep the engagement up because there was constantly something new to hunt. Instead of pouring it all out at the very beginning or in some sort of part 2, which could have been overwhelming, they released it in small batches, and that definitely helped make everything not as overwhelming, even though looking back, there was a lot inside of the Haunted Realm. And if you remember when I mentioned this a bit ago, the Winterfest event had almost as much, if not more, content inside ahead of it than the Haunted Realm. And you might be like, okay, Purple, where are you going with this? That doesn't really help at all, because if they had a similar amount of content, why did Winterfest do so much worse? On release, the Winterfest event had 24 new Tanorians to hunt, including the new species, the Reskins, and the fossils, which is already a lot more than what Haunted Realm had, which was on release it had about 16 new Tanorians. And all of that was released on October 31st, 2024. Following that, for the Haunted Realm, we got the Shiny Boost weekend. On November 8th, we got a community weekend with mutated shinies for Nightmare Sungadem and Asteroid. On November 16th, we got the part 2 to the Halloween event featuring a new Reskin line and a new Tanorian. On November 18th, we got a new mode to the Haunted Mansion called the Nightmare Mansion. On November 23rd, we got a new Whispling form, the beta form, or the orange form if you're, you know, not a Chad like me, calling it by its actual name. And then on December 7th, the event finally ended, and we got a huge content update immediately afterwards with Alpha Grove Part 4 and Rooster, which even though it technically wasn't part of the event, it's still like content back to back to back to back. You can see the dates on screen, that's almost every weekend. And now if we move over to the Winterfest side of things, on December 26th, the Winterfest update came out with the 24 new Tanorians on launch. On January 1st, we got a new Rupture event featuring the Pactua reskin. On January 4th, we got a shiny weekend, but then we didn't get another update to the Winterfest until part 2 on January 31st. The event released with 24 Tanorians on launch. After the initial release, we only got 6 new Tanorians and reskins added to Winterfest. And aside from Pactua, all of those reskins were added a little over a week before the event ended. So for the majority of the event, there was nothing. Winterfest was disconnected from the community this time, while Halloween was interlocked. And in my opinion, even though it doesn't seem like that big of a difference, this was the main cause for people not really being interested in Winterfest. Everything kind of binded together to make an event that, while it was good, it could have been better. I personally did enjoy Winterfest, the little that I did play of it, but other people weren't as happy with this event compared to Halloween.
I am just gonna type the rest of this out, lol. I think I made my opinions clear. I am gonna cut my yap for this conclusion because I do not physically have enough time to edit the 40 more minutes of conclusion I have recorded. This video is long enough as it is. Haha. Great event. Definitely could have been better, and where it struggled quite a bit. Still, overall, it was a great event. Very nice job, Tales of Toronto team. Sorry this took so long. To both the dev team and my community. I might leave some extra notes I forgot to include in this video for whatever reason in the pinned comment. Thank you for watching and have a good night.